Stand by, 30 seconds to the beginning of Arizona Outdoors. $20 seconds. 15 seconds, stand by. Ready, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, take.
Arizona Outdoors, brought to you by Tony M. Corey Buick GMC, B&M Traders, Nevitz East Valley Marine, Valley Yamaha Mesa, Cardin Homes, Best Water Company, Phoenix Shooting Sports Fair, and The Sportsman.
Arizona's outdoors is unique in that it's home to some 800 species of wildlife. But 700 of those are unhunted or unfished, meaning they're classified as non-game. But nonetheless, the management responsibility of the Arizona Game and Fish Department. Until recently, Arizona's hunting and fishing license buyers paid the bill for that management. In 1982, the Arizona legislature passed a bill whereby now all Arizonans can contribute to that management through donations on their state income tax form. Hi, I'm Wes Keyes, and on this program we're going to talk about a recent addition to the Game and Fish Department, the non-game branch, and what they're doing to conserve and enhance Arizona's watchable wildlife. Terry, the non-game branch is the newest addition to the Game and Fish Department, created in 1983. As supervisor of that branch, I know you have a multitude of functions to perform, but what are your primary activities right now?
I think we can look at several different areas as really important to the branch. We do a lot of work in wildlife management, basic wildlife management, gathering information on certain species and making sure that that information is put to use in developing management programs throughout the state. We're also very heavily involved in wildlife rehabilitation, operating a wildlife center in the north part of Phoenix. We are doing a great deal of publication. We've just finished putting out a book on the venomous reptiles of Arizona. And by and large, we just have a great deal of activity in the general conservation area for non-game wildlife.
How do those activities interface with other game and fish management responsibilities?
We depend upon a team effort, Wes, in the Game and Fish Department to do our wildlife management and our conservation programs. In the non-game branch, we're applying information that's gathered by wildlife managers throughout the state, by habitat specialists, and by other regional personnel. And also, it's information that's gathered by federal biologists and private individuals, and it's fed into this central repository that is the non-game program.
Arizona is home to some 800 species of wildlife. 700 of those are unhunted or unfished. When we talk about 700 species of non-game wildlife, that's difficult for the public to comprehend. When we say that, what are we really talking about?
Well, I think we have to understand that these 700 different kinds of vertebrate wildlife are spread around in several different groups. We have a variety of native fishes, nearly 30 species native to the state of Arizona, many of which are endangered or threatened. We have a very great variety of amphibians, many of which respond to our summer rains. We have a large variety of reptiles, lizards, snakes, turtles even, the desert tortoise and the box turtle. We also have many different kinds of birds. In fact, nearly 500 of the species are birds that we're dealing with.
If you could name one species out of all the different wildlife categories that you just mentioned earlier, which ones are the most important or most critical right now with your activities?
The endangered species, without a doubt. We are working with a native wildlife list that includes roughly 93 species of different kinds of animals that are threatened or endangered. They are down to their last remaining pockets of habitat, their last remaining populations. That's where our priorities are within the non-game program in the Game and Fish Department.
What are those species?
Some of them are bald eagles, for example. We have a good population of bald eagles in Arizona now, 21 to 22 breeding pairs in the state. It's a federally listed endangered species. Some of the others include thick-billed parrots that we're just reintroducing to the state. It's a bird that was here at the turn of the century. For one reason or another, it was eliminated from the state, and now we're releasing some birds that had been illegally smuggled into the United States and returning them to the wild to try and recover the bird and perhaps reestablish it as a breeding bird in the Southwest, perhaps even in Arizona. Another one that we've been working with a great deal in the last 5 to 10 years has been the masked bobwhite.
Which is where we are right now, is on the Buenos Aires National Wildlife Refuge,
Well,
where the bobwhite recovery effort is in progress.
This is the best and brightest hope for recovery of the endangered population of the masked bobwhite. We were very fortunate in being able to work with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to see the acquisition of this refuge take place in 1985. Now we are working with the Fish and Wildlife Service to develop habitat management programs for the refuge so that we can restore the beautiful Sonora savanna grassland that once occurred throughout these bottomlands in the Altar Valley. When we restore that habitat, then we will be able to restore the masked bobwhite.
Just fair dealing from the good old boys at Tony Corey GMC.
Right now, Tony Corey has brand new 1987 S15 half-ton pickup starting as low as $6,095, payments starting at $109 a month. Come on in to Tony M. Corey and let the good old boys roll out the red carpet for you today.
Just fair dealing from the Tony Corey. Good old boys.
Is that a new washing machine? How is your dishwasher? What about your water heater? With the cost of new appliances, shouldn't you do something to extend their life and reduce your maintenance costs? Best Water can help by installing water softening equipment in your home. And with treated water, you use less cleaning products, so you save money on your grocery bills. Choose to rent or buy water conditioning equipment from Arizona's oldest and largest bottled water conditioning company. And Best Water services what we sell. Call Best Water for a free water analysis and soap usage survey.
Shoot the world's leading firearms. Try out the finest archery equipment. Come to the 3rd Annual Phoenix Shooting Sports Fair at the Black Canyon Shooting Range. Ask the experts about varmint calling. Learn tips on whitetail hunting and reloading. Want to know how to train your hunting dog? Come to the Phoenix Shooting Sports Fair March 27th, 28th, and 29th at the Black Canyon Shooting Range. Admission is $5. Children 12 and under admitted free.
Hi, I'm Don Collier. When you travel down the road, the Arizona that you see is the home for a wide variety of wildlife. Many of these critters make a unique contribution to the natural wonder of our state, but some of them are in trouble, and it's up to all of us to help. Please make sure that you or your tax preparer donate any amount you wish on your state tax form. Don't bury your head in the sand. Help our watchable wildlife with a check or a check-off on your state income tax form.
Morning, Steve.
Good morning, Wes.
As the biologist for the Buenos Aires National Wildlife Refuge here, what's your primary responsibility?
Primarily, I'm responsible for the restoration procedures working with the masked bobwhite quail. And I have been working with the adoption procedures, releases, and follow-up work.
Why the recovery effort here?
Well, the Altar Valley is the historic area where the masked bobwhite was found originally in the United States. And within this valley, the Buenos Aires National Wildlife Refuge is the only suitable habitat left for this bird within the U.S.
That's what makes Buenos Aires so important to this
That's right.
project. You're out here on your horseback today. What are you trying to do?
I'm trying to locate masked bobwhite coveys that are resultant from our releases this last summer. Hopefully we can, after locating these coveys, we can have 2 of our graduate students that we're working with from the University of Arizona come out and then trap these birds and tell us where these birds came from in terms of their releases this last summer, and help in our study efforts to determine the habitat requirements of these birds.
Well, I know you got to go find some birds and you're busy, so thank you for joining us, and we'll let you
You're
go.
welcome, Wes.
Thank you, Steve. You mentioned habitat earlier. We frequently hear that habitat is the most important component to the existence of wildlife. What activities do you have going in habitat right now that are critical?
Well, there's no question that without habitat, a species has no place to live. There's no denying that. There's no avoiding it, and that forces us to work on those habitat types that are the most threatened in the state. This takes us to working with riparian corridors of vegetation, the tall trees, cottonwood galleries, cottonwoods and mesquites and willows that are along some of our streams and rivers in central Arizona and southern Arizona in particular. We're working to protect remnants of that vegetation that was much more prominent in the 1800s, before we began harvesting it for fuel wood purposes or to develop agricultural projects or to channelize our rivers to control flood problems. Another wetland habitat type that we're working with to conserve throughout the state is the marsh or cienega that once occurred very frequently or commonly across southern Arizona. It's a habitat type that supported some of our native fish, which are on the endangered species list. Species such as the desert pupfish or the Gila top minnow, the yaqui top minnow. We're also working with grasslands throughout the state, in particular right here on the Buenos Aires, to recover a habitat type that was known as the Sonora savanna grassland. That was very different than what we see here today. It had a much greater diversity of grasses and forbs than we see here today. It had none of the exotic species that tend to dominate the landscape in the bottomlands of the Altar Valley today. Our habitat specialist in the non-game branch, Bruce Palmer, is working with the Fish and Wildlife Service biologists to lay out a pattern of sampling transects so that we can determine what those habitat parameters are that the bobwhite needs.
B&M Traders in Mesa has the Valley's largest selection of fishing lures, rods, and reels, plus live bait. Everything you need for salt, trout, and freshwater fishing. There's always an excellent supply of guns and ammunition at B&M Traders in Mesa. And be sure to get ready for archery season at B&M's new indoor archery range. Brand names you will recognize, service you will appreciate at B&M Traders just off the freeway between Stapley and Mesa Drive on East Southern.
We'll make you feel right at home at B&M Traders.
Lightweight, tight-turning Yamaha Moto 4 was designed for one specific purpose: to take just about anyone, just about anywhere.
Built for the fun of it, Yamaha.
See the new 1987 line of Yamaha motorcycles and ATVs at the RV Sportsman Show, Phoenix Civic Plaza, March 4th through the 8th.
This is Brookfield, one of Cardin Homes' newest single-family communities. These quality-built, three-bedroom homes are perfect for an active lifestyle. Brookfield homes are priced from the very low 60s. Interest rates and monthly payments are lower than ever. Now is the time to move into your new Cardin home. Call Cardin Homes at 892-8080. Cardin Homes, making quality affordable.
I'm Wildlife Manager Dana McGehee with the Arizona Game and Fish Department. What you're about to see is a reenactment of a poaching incident that occurred at Apache Lake on or about the weekend of Valentine's Day, February 1987. If you were at the lake that weekend and happened to see or hear anything suspicious regarding this incident, please call our Operation Game Thief toll-free number at 1-800-352-0700.
Bruce Palmer is the habitat specialist for the non-game branch. What are you doing out here?
Well, Wes, I'm running a vegetation transect to try and assess the habitat that's utilized by the masked bobwhite quail.
How do you do that? What are you doing here? What's it going to tell you?
Well, basically, we run a tape measure out, and then we measure the type of vegetation that's found along the length of that tape measure. This gives us a fairly detailed analysis of the species of grasses and forbs and shrubs that compose the total habitat utilized by that species.
You know, we keep talking about habitat. What is habitat? What are the elements of habitat?
Habitat is a place where a particular animal makes its living. It's where that animal exists. Habitat itself is defined by a particular species. In this case, for the masked bobwhite, its habitat is a Sonora savanna grassland, remnants of which we see around here. Each species defines its own habitat. The habitat itself is where the animal finds its food, seeks shelter from the environment, and raises its young. It's a vital component to the existence of all wildlife species.
Well, as part of habitat, you're going to measure this little piece of grass right here. What does that particularly tell you?
Measuring this particular piece of grass right here doesn't tell us too much. But when we take that measurement and we combine it with all the rest of the measurements that we'll take along the transect line and all the measurements that we take on all successive transects, patterns will start to fall out. At least we hope they will. Basically, what we've been finding so far is that the areas selected by the masked bobwhite quail typically include a high diversity and density of grass species. There'll be a lot of different kinds of plants occurring in the areas where the quail are. This information then can be used to implement management practices on the refuge here to increase the diversity of grasses. In addition, we're trying to find other areas throughout southeastern Arizona that have many of the same habitat parameters that the masked bobwhite require. In this way, we can potentially identify future release sites for the quail in other parts of the state.
So this piece of grass, inventorying this grass, combined with the sightings and reproduction and all the other studies that are going on, will give you the specifics to establish permanently masked quail somewhere in Arizona.
We certainly hope so.
In that case, I'll let you get back to work. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Wes.
Surveying wildlife is a major function in the non-game branch, and Cecil Schwalbe is the herpetologist. So you're out here looking for some reptiles. What in particular are you trying to find?
Well, Wes, we're out here today seeing if we can locate a desert tortoise.
Is the desert tortoise one of those reptiles where there are some major concerns?
Quite so, Wes. In fact, the desert tortoise may be one of the most publicized reptiles in all of Western North America. We're trying to find areas where we can study the species to learn more about its biology so that we can more effectively manage the tortoise so it will be with us.
So have you found one?
There's one right up the wash here.
Let's go look at it.
All right, let's go.
He was just kind of hiding underneath there.
Yeah, they often are sequester themselves under dense vegetation. He's coming out now. He may be going in for the night, going back to his burrow.
How old do you think that tortoise is?
I'd estimate this tortoise is about, probably about 15 years, Wes. You can get a rough age, especially of younger tortoises, by counting the growth rings on the individual scales on the shell.
What's the average lifespan of a tortoise?
Well, we don't really know the average lifespan in the wild, but we do know that they live a long time, and there's been at least one tortoise in captivity that's laid eggs at 80 years of age. So they, theoretically, we think they may live to be 100 years old.
Incredible creatures.
Absolutely.
Let's let this one go and go see what else we can find out here. What else you trying to find in this type of habitat?
Well, some of the things that, another creature that's in this habitat is the Gila monster.
What are your odds of finding one?
Well, they're not good. The Gila monster, while it may be fairly common in an area, is very secretive. So you almost never see them except stumbling across them once in a great while.
I understand the Gila monster is totally protected. Why?
Yeah, well, it's been protected in Arizona since 1952, primarily because of people's fascination with keeping them as pets. They're an animal that has relatively low densities in the areas where they live, and we feel like populations could be seriously impacted if we allowed people to collect them and take them home and keep them as pets.
The Gila monster is a poisonous lizard, is it not?
It is. It's one of actually only 2 species of venomous lizards in the entire world. The other being its larger cousin to the south, the Mexican beaded lizard.
The efforts of the non-game branch are important in that you're trying to conserve a wildlife heritage for generations upon generations to come.
And it's important that we maintain the effort if we wish to continue to enjoy the quality of life that we have in Arizona today.
Hi, I'm Larry Nevitt. Our Skeeter bass boats are rated #1 by Popular Mechanics magazine for the finest bass boat performance. So why settle for less when you can have a Skeeter bass boat for as low as $59.95? That's boat, 50 horsepower motor, trolling motor, on a custom-built trailer for only $59.95. So come down to our marina at 12205 South Gilbert Road, 3 miles south of the Superstition Freeway on Gilbert Road.
Tony Corey GMC Truck Center is happy to announce that their 3.9% interest rate is now back. That's right, 3.9% factory interest on most truck models with payments starting as low as $109 per month. The good old boys at Tony Corey are ready to give you the best deal ever with 3.9% interest rates.
Just fair dealing from the Tony Corey. Good old boys.
If you've been looking for a place to go to buy your hunting and fishing equipment, a place with an excellent selection and knowledgeable customer service, then come to the place designed with you in mind. The Sportsman has the very best selection in hunting and fishing equipment and friendly, helpful salespeople to answer all your questions. The Sportsman, large selection, great service. 2 locations to serve you, in Phoenix at 525 West Camelback Road and 1232 East Southern Avenue in Mesa. The Sportsman, run by sportsmen, for sportsmen. Join Arizona Outdoors Wednesday, March 25th, 6:30 at Centennial Hall in Mesa for one of the biggest fishing seminars ever to hit the valley. Along with Ned and Reed, you'll see and talk to such fishing experts as Hester Wells, Ron Thomas, Dale Whitmore, Ron Townsend, Mike Klein, Jim Warnicki, Lee Nelson, Butch Vasco, and Lou Starkey. A free bow show and demonstration kicks things off at 2 p.m. with the fishing seminar starting at 6:30 p.m. Tickets just $5, children under 12 free. 6:30, March 25th, Centennial Hall, 201 North Center in Mesa. Come and learn from the pros.
Hi, I'm Ned Smith. Thanks for watching Arizona Outdoors. I'm an Allstate insurance agent and want to invite you to call me the next time you're shopping for insurance. Call me for your homeowner insurance. Allstate has an outstanding policy. Own a boat? Then call and compare our coverages and excellent rates. Allstate even finances boats. I handle auto insurance as well as universal life, mortgage protection, and IRAs. Next time you think of insurance, call Ned Smith. I'd like to be your agent.
The Arizona Game and Fish Department is a state government agency, and I think more often than not the public has concerns about where their money goes, and they can't see visible things as a result of those revenues. As far as the non-game branch is concerned, if somebody wanted to see something visible and tangible, where would they go?
I think what's perhaps most visible of all of our activities is wildlife rehabilitation. Here at the Adobe Mountain Wildlife Center, just on the north side of Phoenix, we take care of injured wildlife, animals that have been orphaned or have been hit by cars or have been shot, wild animals that we are trying to treat for release to the wild to put them back in nature where they belong.
Let's walk around the center here and see what other kind of animals you have.
Okay, first let me put Scarlett down on her perch. Well, let's take a look at a few of the animals that we've got out here at the Wildlife Center that we're trying to rehabilitate for release.
Where'd you pick up this little critter?
This is a quadrimundi. It was being held as a pet by a private citizen, and it's not legal to keep Arizona's native wildlife as a pet. It is being taught again how to feed and become a wild animal again, and then we'll release it. It takes a great deal of time and effort to recondition these animals and also to provide medical treatment for those that have been injured or those that are sick. We're fortunate here at the Wildlife Center because we have a large number of volunteers and private individuals who are veterinarians who contribute their time and effort, but also the facility is located on the grounds of the Department of Corrections Adobe Mountain Juvenile Institution. Young boys ranging in age from 8 to 17 also work with us. We have work crews of 5 boys that come out here every day to take care of the animals. They are able to watch the animals progress as they become ready for release to the wild again. And for the first time in their lives, many of these boys are responsible for taking care of something that's living other than themselves. And it teaches them a great deal of responsibility.
How successful has your program been in releasing these animals back to the wild?
Well, our program has been very successful on both ends. This last year, our success rate for release to the wild for the wildlife has been 47%. And our success rate in dealing with the young wards has been even higher. We've had no boys that have gone through this program who have returned to Adobe Mountain yet.
That's great. Let's look at some more animals.
All right.
Let's talk about the funding base for the non-game branch. Until recently, hunters and fishermen paid the bill for the management of all non-game species in Arizona. And now with the income tax checkoff promotion, there is another source for all Arizonans to contribute. How successful has it been?
It's been very successful. We've had the program for only 4 years in Arizona, and we've gathered just over $1 million over that period. $1 million that have been donated by the citizens of the state, the taxpayers of the state, to make sure that a non-game program is able to be developed to meet the needs of the state. And that's what we're trying to do. At the same time, the hunting and fishing public in the state have continued to support the development of the non-game program. We are still using some hunter and fisherman dollars, license revenues, to support our program. So it's really the best of both worlds. We have the consumptive public, the hunters and the fishermen, working hand in hand with the non-consumptive public, the bird watchers and hikers and campers who aren't out there hunting or fishing, to try and address habitat needs. For different reasons, perhaps, in some cases, but more often we're finding for the very same reasons. We share the same goals. We value all wildlife.
For those that aren't familiar with the income tax program or how to donate, how do they do that? How does it work?
In Arizona, on line 37 of this year's tax form, you're able to donate a portion or all of your refund if you're getting one. Very few of us do get refunds, but those who do can contribute that way. On the other hand, if you're like most of us and you're paying taxes, you can, by making just a little mark on there, writing in a dollar figure, you can add a number to your debt to the state and ensure that that dollar figure will go into our non-game program.
Is there another way that people can donate to the program?
They can simply write out a check to the Arizona Game and Fish Department and for the purpose state for non-game wildlife projects. If they have a specific project they want to support, they can write that in, and we'll ensure that that money goes into that particular project.
This is quite a facility. Lots of work, lots of volunteers, and lots of success. The non-game branch has a big job to do. We've only shown you a small portion of their activities. The future of that management responsibility and Arizona's watchable wildlife is in your hands. So when you file state income tax forms this year, remember Arizona's wildlife heritage. I'm Wes Keyes for Arizona Outdoors. So long, until next time.
You're looking at last year's Anglers United Banquet. They're hosting this year's 5th annual banquet April 8th at the Holiday Inn at Country Club in the Freeway in Mesa. The festivities begin at 6 p.m. with cocktail hour, followed by a prime rib dinner. You can pick up some great items at the auction. For more information, call 864-4412 or 833-5444. Have you marked your calendar for March 25th? You won't want to miss one of the biggest fishing seminars ever to come to the Valley. The experts will share their secrets. Hester Wells will teach you how to catch giant flathead catfish. Ron Thomas will cover the trout scene. Who else but Ron Townsend could show you how to catch bass with a surface lure? The list goes on. Don't miss the fishing seminar Wednesday, March 25th, starting at 6:30 p.m. at Mesa's Centennial Hall, 201 North Center in Mesa. Thanks for watching. See you next week on Arizona Outdoors.
Arizona Outdoors, brought to you by Tony M. Corey Buick GMC, B&M Traders, Nevitz East Valley Marine, Valley Yamaha Mesa, Cardin Homes, Best Water Company, Phoenix Shooting Sports Fair, The Sportsman, and these other fine sponsors.
Stand by. 30 seconds to the end of Arizona Outdoors. Seconds. 15 seconds. Stand by. Ready. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take.